Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Be There and Vibe podcast. I'm Kate Kennedy, your host. Ooh, that was a deep your host. I'm in a hotel. I feel like a younger version of myself. Back when I first started podcasting, I was high key bored. Didn't have a lot going on. I'd, pour a glass of cab and shoot the shit about city highs. What would you do? Not even think twice. Live for the podcast I'd never remember. With the episodes I definitely forget and then later delete when I listen to. Interesting times. I never do that now. I am in a hotel because I had something else to do and I cannot focus in my own home, which it's just something I can't even take on right now. But if you're ever beating yourself up for why can't I do more? Why aren't I unproductive? What has happened to my career since the child I reared? You're not alone. It's like, I can have my own quarters and soundproofed walls and not even be within earshot, but something about just being on my home turf where my predominant role is mom, makes me struggle to disengage, to transcend, to feel creative in ways that I sometimes need to be able to work on things. And I'm not going to actually have a cab though. I just ordered a room service latte. Even though it's 10 o'clock. We used to do the Up All Night Club, kind of almost sleepover vibes. And my voice is slightly strained, so I'm sorry if I sound tired, but I don't know. I just kind of felt like doing a sleepover-y girl talk gab fest about a bunch of topics, each less important than the next, influencer, gossip, pop culture, Hilary Duff's new music, and so much more. But for today, I also asked you guys what you were thinking about on Instagram, and it seems like we're on the same page with a lot of these things. So we'll just kind of, meander through it. I don't know where to begin. I mean, I was just scrolling through TikTok, which is an app that I took visibly off my phone. So I have to go out of my way to type it in and find it, which makes me scroll a lot less. But the way when I do, every single time. Guys, why is Whitney Levitt always wearing this goofy ass headband? Is it an extension of her head? This is barnacle core. This is a J. Crew bobble necklace on the skull. It's just she's always in a getting ready headband. I just turned around to see what was on my nightstand in case I found it embarrassing, but no, it's just a can of water, a beet ginger juice that I quickly abandoned. Holy acid reflux. You know how they say a can of Coke is so corrosive it can clean blood off a sidewalk? I think whatever vessels were left in my esophagus, that shit just singed right off. A hairbrush, some pretzel goldfish. All pretty normal. I actually don't even really have anything with me that would embarrass me, but, sometimes when there's a nightstand in my purview, I do think about Turtle Creek Lane that one time when she had a huge-ass vibrator on her nightstand. And we came to find out that was, on purpose. I think it was a bit when you're creating, a Seussical the Musical in your home in a tower of lollipops and candy canes or jack-o'-lanterns in witchy wonderlands. Sometimes you need to shake up the whimsy with a phallic object. I imagine that was the logic behind the pervs who made the officiant get a boner in The Little Mermaid. Is that real? Have we confirmed that? Do you remember being a kid at sleepovers and you would watch The Lion King and they'd be look closely. When the wind blows, it says the word sex. But also, if you were really going to be a weird adult and put in that pervy Easter egg, would you honestly choose the word sex? A couple of 42-year-old animators were sex. What? Let's put something interesting or clever. I don't know. Somebody just asked me if I have tattoos. I don't. I want to be cool. It's not my thing. I have a lot of piercings because they're temporary. If you read my book, One in a Millennial, and heard me log my interests throughout my life, the places where I've doubled down, then you would understand why I can't trust myself enough to ever ink anything on me permanently. I'm the type of person that would get a tattoo that says the tide is high, but I'm holding on, hyphen, Atomic Kitten, not realizing it's a Blondie song. And not realizing I shouldn't hedge my bets on Atomic Kitten being more of a thing than the singular song they had in a Disney Channel original movie. What did Atomic Kitten sing the tide is high from? Was that a Lizzie McGuire movie? Oh, Hilary Duff's new music. Hang on. This is her single called Mature. She looks gorgeous. different fun. I wish I could just play you the song. That this would be more interesting to listen to. So what's interesting to me about this song, at first I didn't really know what we were talking about, but then I was like, we're operating from the I'll get older but your lovers stay my age canon of lyricism, which is one I support. Listen, I am all about lyrics that explore age gap dynamics and the weaponization of maturity as a grooming tactic, so long as we're not blaming the victims. And this song does not do that. And this song is upbeat and fun. It's kind of like Carly Rae Jepsen-esque. She speaks in generalities, like this song is about reflecting on your past and coming to terms with the choices you've made, but without being too hard on yourself. It's a fun record, but it's secretly kind of heavy too. I was looking back on this relationship and thinking about whether this guy had a habit of dating younger women or whether I was special. The lyrics go, she's me, I'm her in a different font. Just a few years younger, a new haircut. Very Leo of you with your Scorpio touch. That's clever. Leo famously dates younger women, but this is a Scorpio. Going down on her on your vintage rug. But she's so impressed by your Basquiat. Oh, right, art. So refined. Yeah, how do you pronounce that? Jean-Michel Basquiat. It's French or Haitian, right? I guess I could just listen to how she rhymes it, but now I'm forgetting. This kind of, with the vintage rug and the art, this is kind of like, I'll bet you think about me vibes, no? A guy with indie records much cooler than yours. Also, will organic shoes ever not be funny to me? And the way she sings it, your organic shoes. Was he wearing Toms? Those, I don't know if those are organic, though. Those were just like peak, buy a pair, give a pair capitalism. Anywho. And she thinks you're deep in the ways you're not. I can't put it on her. She's a sweet kid. But she's taking the bait like we all did. Wait, I'm confused. I was thinking that she's being empathetic to a younger version of her, but also kind of speaking to the other girl. She's, I'm not clear if the POV is, she's watching back this relationship from a long time ago, talking about the younger girl she was. Either way, it kind of reads as empathetic to both her younger self and whoever is in this position. And maybe that's the point. Where's the bridge? It's honestly kind of juicy. Is it about one of the Madden brothers? Watch the tide rise up as high as you got me, listening to Strawberry Letter 23. Hid my car at Carbon Beach, so I wasn't seen at yours. You're so mature for your age, babe. I was flattered to hear you say you're so mature for your age, babe. What a creepy thing to say to a young woman. Also, do you guys know what Strawberry Letter 23 is? If it's not strawberry wine, I'm probably not interested. The thing about voices like Hilary Duff is they operate from a place of almost frustrating, consistent restraint. She has a specific voice that can't fully let itself go. I've never heard the thunder. I've never heard her want to scream. She kind of just sings like very timidly or something, you know? Anyway, Hilary, 4 stars from Be There in 5. Interesting concept. I love where you took it. You sound great. And I'm excited for Hilary and her music because honestly, Metamorphosis is a revelation. I used to put on my away message, haven't you heard that I'm going to be okay? From So Yesterday. A really interesting selection of words that I've always really liked. Anyway, great song, Hill. No one calls you that. Also, Dignity, kind of underrated. I feel like people kind of overlooked it because she was in her brunette era and we all were made to feel a lot of ways about Isabella. During Dignity, her boyfriend at the time, Joel Madden, I feel like she's born pretty close to me in age. Yeah, she was born in 1987. September of 1980. We are literally the same age. Okay, so in 2007 when Dignity came out, which funnily enough, she described as, Duff explained the album's title, I'm older and more, wait for it, mature now than I was when I made my last record, but I don't think I know it all. Wow. And she co-wrote all of the songs on Dignity, except for one called Outside of You that was written by the White Pink and the woman who sang the song that made a million sorority sisters cry on Pref Night. It feels like home to me. It feels like home to me. Obviously, A+ sex scene, Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson. That goes without saying. So yeah, Joel Madden was born in 1979. Yeah, 8 years is roughly represent the would've, could've, should've age gap rubric of a promising young man that I'm always interested to hear more about. So, kadoos. Kate from the Beyond. I've since learned that Joel Madden was 25 when he dated Hilary Duff, who was 16. Now, this changes the tone of me ending that segment saying kadoos, which was to Hilary, by the way, not Joel. I don't really know if it's about, like, apparently Hilary and her husband, who co-wrote and produced this song and album, Matt, I think, are really good friends with Joel Madden and Nicole Richie, his wife, the rumored blonder from the chorus. And Joel Madden posted a selfie with Hilary's husband yesterday, being like, with the caption "so mature," and I'm like, bro, do we really want to draw attention to this? Like, what's wrong with you? This is disgusting. I don't know. So I don't know if it's about, like, I don't, whatever. Just wanted to, yeah, chime in here and say, adds another layer of gross to this song. And she's like, yeah, this song's about, just reflecting on my younger self breezily, but like there's kind of a heaviness to it. Kind of a heaviness to it. Oh my God. You were a child. Hey, buddy. Speaking of child, my firstborn's always acting out. Hello, my heart. Anyway, guys, I feel like there's like a theme of this episode because there's a few things we're talking about that have to do with age and maturity and the collapsing of ranges of ages of girlhood. Because how we've talked about before how 18 to 20, like this is from something Taylor Swift said, and I can't remember where, but I think it was in regard to All Too Well, about how like 18, 19, 20, you're technically an adult. You can pursue a romantic or intimate relationship, but it's still an extension of girlhood, and you're still really figuring things out, and you're not as mature as you often play off. And there's something really sick about being both fetishized and criticized for your youth by an older person you're dating, where they love how young you are, but they also make fun of you when you don't know their references, whether it's to their art or their organic shoes, or you don't fit in with their friends or beyond, that you still can't even legally drink. So I thought that's what we were dealing with in this Hilary Duff song, but we were dealing with the child, and now I feel weird about it. Also, I was one of the rare individuals who had the opportunity. Not everybody can say that they saw the original Veneers in person. I saw Hilary Duff in concert in 2004 or 5, I forget. And my God, there they were. Bright lights, oversized, shining, shimmering, splendid. I'll never forget those Veneers. She was kind of the eldest daughter, first lamb to the slaughter in terms of celebrity cartoon sheet teeth with veneers. And I hate that she was made fun of for it. Yeah, the chompers didn't fit the jaw. They didn't. But what a thrill to see them in person. And something weird happened at a Hilary Duff concert. Speaking of older guys, wow. Where her bassist was like staring me up and down. And I swear to God this happened. And if you're my friend Ann from high school, I think that's who I was with. Feel free to confirm or deny. But I remember thinking it was really weird because I'm like cute, but I'm not like single you out in a crowd cute, especially not in high school. My God, in a critical mass, I am not the one you're zoning in on in the audience. I'll tell you that much. Especially because at that age, it's not like I was body rolling to So Yesterday. I was deep in my parochial hand choreography era with like, our God is an awesome God. Like I just don't. Anyways, my memory's hazy now because I'm like, why was he staring at me? But I think it might have been because we were the oldest people there. I had a pretty young Disney audience. Yeah, that makes more sense now. But I think he like invited us to come back or something. But why wouldn't I have gone is my question. So I don't know if something's wrong with that memory. But anyways, it was really exciting. And remember like when Wedding Crashers came out? That movie's so many issues. But there was this one line about like, I fucking the shit out of you. Like when Isla Fisher was looking at Vince Vaughn or something. And I remember like a lot of my friends saying like they would do this and stuff when they wanted like got them to know, guys to know they were interested. And it just wasn't a skill I possess. Because I remember one time trying to express interest with somebody in college. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to stare them down like my friends say you can do to like signal someone. I think I did it in like leadership class. And afterward, he asked me if I was lost on campus. And I haven't tried to IF ever since. 06. Tough stuff. I've never had a sexy air about me. I just never have, never will. Why I say that? Oh, because this guy was IFing. And I cannot imagine I was doing it back. But I do think I got invited back, and I don't know why I wouldn't have gone. Anyway, not important. But yeah, speaking of a promising young man, John Mayer and Kat Stickler are dating, and there's a 17-year age gap. And I think this is really interesting too. The idea of a like traditional mainstream, hyper wealthy celebrity being like chronically online and like looking at young influencers as his for the choosing. I don't know that that's what he's doing, but I do know that John Mayer has a pattern, has a history. He hasn't exactly treated women the best. I mean, we have Dear John, we have Would Have, Could Have, Should Have. We have Jessica Simpson's entire memoir. We have the weird song with Katy Perry of them on Mechanical Bull. You love who you love. That, while she hasn't spoken out about the relationship, she tailspun to a place that only led her to literal outer space, looking deranged at a camera holding a daisy, like she did something for feminism. So I have to blame him. I also have this problem, you guys, where that I don't want to admit, but where I am attracted to this man. I think he's funny, and I like hearing him talk. And him and Andy Cohen make me laugh as friends. And Andy just revealed on Watch What Happens Live, they sit on the same side of the booth when they go out to dinner, which is interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever said that on air before. I get it. I get it. Kat Stickler is an influencer. She got famous from such like an organic place, more organic than the shoes, and was so quintessential to my childless millennial journey. It's interesting for me to think about being like, because influencers are a different type of famous. Influencers are normal people that didn't go through the fame pipeline and the gatekeepers, and they're usually not in rooms like, that are like they can be. There's some influencers that reach the level of traditional Hollywood, and especially more lately. I mean, say it with me, guys. Everybody, it's Jake Shane's world, and we're all just living in it. I feel like there's people that have gone mainstream that celebrities recognize, people like him or like Teffy, you know what I mean? People that are talented and like host and have podcasts and like, yeah. And Kat Stickler maybe is more of overlap than I think, but I think people forget that like even if influencers have a high level of visibility, their life is often more insular than your average celebrity, where they're not in rooms with famous people and not around the normal Hollywood gatekeepers. And I do think even if you're a famous influencer, she's like 10 million on TikTok and 3 million on Instagram. The experience of dating a mainstream, old school, like super rich celebrity would be really crazy, disorienting. Like, I don't know. It's the whole, I'll watch your life in pictures like I used to watch you sleep of it all, Power and Bounce, even if you yourself are a little famous. You're just going to like hear their music every time you go to Wegmans. And I feel like with Kat, hang on. Okay, hold on. I'm going to, this is Kate from the Beyond. I think I explained all this in the original episode. So I'm going to go to an ad and then we'll get back to me from a couple days ago. Okay, love you, bye. This episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth's mission is to transform your 5 to 9, the time that matters most, into the most comfortable part of your day. And I'm literally, okay, wait, this is perfect. I care so much about Cozy Earth. I'm on video. Will I post a video? I don't know. Could never be consistent enough to guarantee. But I'm in a hotel and I like a toddler on an airplane brought my pillow because I care so much about this pillow. It's like stuffed with 100% mulberry silk. And I don't know what that is, but I do know that it's transformed my sleeping experience and I'm now dependent on it. Like my son is dependent on his like stuffed animal hippo. But I feel like it's important you know how much I like it. What I also love are their viscose from bamboo sheets. They're temperature regulating. They're so soft. They're a dream. I've replaced all of my sheets with a version of these. I just bought adorable holiday ones with little Christmas trees on it that are like tasteful kitschy Christmas, which is my favorite kind. They also have classy Christmas toile in a couple different colors that I have my eye on for my guest bed. Not to mention their bamboo pajama set that people love. It's a timeless classic. It's perfected at Cozy Earth. It's designed with a soft stretch knit that drapes beautifully, that sleeps degrees cooler than cotton, that I love as a slightly taller gal with a long inseam because I can get them in talls and not have high water pajamas, something I've suffered through my whole life. Not to mention this bubble cuddle blanket that I'm starting to see take over TikTok, unsurprisingly, because it's the ultimate holiday gift for cozy moments. It combines comfort and style with a very distinctively textured bubble design, very soft fur feel. And I love so much about this company. I spend way too much money at this company, and my parents were just here and could not speak more highly of how both warm and cool and light and airy and cozy their bedding was, despite being in my frigid basement where I put all my lucky house guests. But the fact that I can make the back corner of my basement feel like a special occasion speaks to the quality of Cozy Earth. And I would love for your 5 to 9 to feel the same, especially as we go into cozy season. The holidays are about to get busy, about to get overwhelming. This is the gift you want to give to loved ones. Take my word for it. Black Friday has come early at Cozy Earth. Right now, you can stack my code, Be There in 5 on top. Oh, I just got excited. Sorry. Black Friday has come early at Cozy Earth. Right now, you can stack my code, Be There in 5 on top of their site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. These deals won't last, so start your holiday shopping today. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here so they know we sent you. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. John Mayer and Kat Stickler are dating. This is so interesting to me. Speaking of an age gap, this is about 17 years. Kat Stickler is a really interesting influencer to me. I'm very fascinated by TikTok era astronomical rises when you could get followers a lot more easily, but also creators that did kind of niche down in the moment. But it's really cool to see who has expanded from there and become an influencer and has more multitudes and whose career has legs in terms of just like being a literal personality launched on the internet from that time, especially when that platform was being so minimized. Her shtick at the time was Mike and Kat, her and her now ex-husband, who were dating and got pregnant very fast and therefore married very fast. And I think that they like dated, had a baby, and got divorced within the span of like 1.5 or 2 years. Another creator that I think falls into that category of like did something really specific but like had other things to give is Eli Rallo. Like do you remember when she was the jar? And she got famous on TikTok for putting snacks in jars. But like she just was 54 Below belting out a show tune ballad to celebrate the release of her second book, which I think was a bestseller. It's like, damn, who let the Cat Scratch Club out of the jar? Which is a very weird play on cat out of the bag, using Cat Scratch Club from Rent, which is really poor wordplay because I was trying to look for a Broadway musical, but also play on the jar. I don't really know of any idioms involving a jar except who took the cookies from the cookie jar. Anyway, she did not sing a song from Rent, though Light My Candle would be really satisfying to sing in front of a crowd at 54 Below. Do you guys know how annoying I would be if I could belt? Belt is what I wanted what I want to hear Hilary Duff do that I've not heard her do. Another rhyming influencer that had a really specific niche in the pandemic. Anna, is it Sitar? Anna X? Her whole thing was doing this like particular hand movement in a mirror and then going to Starbucks and enthusiastically ordering these like custom drinks and expanded from there. And I was thinking about her because I saw her behind the judges on Dancing with the Stars this week. Back to Kat Stickler. So I actually think her dating John Mayer is a really interesting overlap of the traditional celebrity and the TikTok influencer worlds. Well, I think Kat has made like a career for herself. I mean, she has 10 million on TikTok, 3 million on Instagram. Like her content is translated and she's very funny. And whether she's, doing the impressions of her Hispanic mother or like doing like silly skits, she's been honest about being a single mother and shared about dating and all sorts of things throughout the years. And what was interesting is she dated Jason Tartick for a while and they broke up. But then she was in a relationship very recently where she was almost disproportionately posting things about like, oh, to be loved, which, usually I can label as like red flags anonymous. Then like out of nowhere, like Dumois in September, like shows them getting cozy in a booth. Don't you love a celebrity or like two public figures you've never seen before having their public debut being cozy in a booth? It's so classic. It's almost pop culture canon in the way the celebrity going to the hospital for exhaustion was back in the day. Dehydration. Not enough celebrities go to the hospital for exhaustion anymore. And I think the sad reality is that it was often like women who were stalked, harassed, victims of diet culture, who were dangerously underweight, overworked. You know what I mean? Like bless their hearts. Anyway, what I don't know is if you went to the ER for exhaustion would they actually check you in? Like, is that a thing you can say? I honestly don't know. I just would imagine it's kind of low on the triage pole, no? Anyway, Kat Stickler is interesting to me because she is the woman who propelled one of the bigger series of my careers, unbeknownst to me, which is Childless Millennial. And she's like, I think, highly pivotal in me, like in a process that forced me to share my feelings, not only on air, and as a product of that, sort through my uncertainty in a very real way in my real life that led me to moving down the path of becoming a mom, which ultimately was the right one for me. And I'm strangely, eternally grateful to her in that peach smoothie video she posted in 2020 for scaring me so profoundly for how motherhood looked to me like a situation where she was like trapped or held hostage if you were that exasperatedly excited to leave the house for a peach smoothie. But it wasn't even about that, because I actually get now in a big way why it's so exciting. Like it's like postpartum, like the first time I ran errands, I felt like young, wild, and free. Like there are times that you are not trapped, but your life becomes more grounded, more still. It, by function of your life changing, but also in many ways by choice. I've certainly hopped on planes a little bit less because the life phase I'm in, I don't feel like stuck, but like some days are harder than others as it relates to like the overstimulation and intensity of having a kid. And shedding a tear over a peach smoothie to me now doesn't sound that crazy. But at the time when I was like, do I want this for my life? Stuff like that really fueled an anxiety in me that my freedom would be compromised in that profound of a way, where not only would I, feel the way she did in the video, but the comments validating like what a thrill it was to leave the house once and get a peach smoothie from a Chick-fil-A. I was just like, sorry, what? But I just wasn't contextualizing it right. But also, it wasn't actually, the part of that video had a lot to do with, I think, her dynamic with her then husband, and her content in general back then was like, haha, my partner does the absolute least. I fucking hate him. Like, things I love about my husband, that he leaves all the cabinet doors open and makes it so easy for my newly walking toddler to grab an aspirin if she needs one. You know what I mean? The energy was like this like kind of sarcastic couples comedy that does well online, but with an undertone of contempt that I think combined with the peach smoothie excitement just sent me over the edge. Regardless, interesting coupling. I wonder how they found each other. I think that John Mayer is very much chronically online, and he does follow her on Instagram. And I kind of love the idea of somebody that's that kind of like established, long-term famous, following the influencers of today and being like, you're funny and cute, let's go out. Because you just wouldn't normally see that pairing. But again, the 17 years is drastic. I think she lives in Florida and has joint custody with her ex. Her daughter MK's a doll. And I just wonder what that looks like to date a celebrity with all the money and resources in the world when you live with Florida and are kind of anchored due to your kid. How do you schedule those hangouts? Where do you go? And if you're meeting up in a city, do you have to have a sleepover the whole time? Kind of expedites things in a funny way, but I guess also does this having to sneak around and be behind closed doors if you're famous. But yeah, they've been spotted out and about. And she said, how'd you guys not know I broke up, my other relationship broke up. I didn't just cut my hair out of nowhere. And she did have a short bob recently, but I don't know. According to Cosmopolitan, he sought her out and pursued her after she just broke up with someone. Apparently they're just having fun. But I'm the idea of John Mayer, I don't know, following influencers, I find that interesting. We just don't see it happen a ton. But yeah, she just seemed very in love, and I was surprised she was single. But she was like, I cut my hair. It's a cry for help. Obviously I have a bob. I went through a heartbreak, and I'm like, oh, duh. I should have known. Speaking of John Mayer. In other influencer news, I also want to talk about, oh my God, speaking of age inappropriate age gaps, I don't know, you guys. Shay Mitchell from Pretty Little Liars, who also owns Base, the luggage line, came out with a K-beauty. I think it's the company's based in Korea. Company that makes sheet masks for the children who are our future. And listen, well, maybe I'll get there in a second, because this is so deeply unimportant, but I have to get it off my chest and desk, and I don't know why. No, do you get? Do you guys feel like Danielle Bernstein's engagement party looked like a wedding? It doesn't matter. Because it like was. She had like 4 outfit changes. She wore a veil. It was lace. She wore gowns. It was like at a chateau. There was like, okay, can I just read you how many vendors were a part of this engagement party? Can you keep this between us? I'm too afraid to upset somebody whose hair is that gorgeous. My God, does she have the most perfect blowout I've ever seen in my life. Who, what, where? Wait, no, we wore what? Why? That is so confusing. I think about this video of Danielle Bernstein being like, great news, I'm doing something a little different for my engagement party. I made a list of shoppable links for the guests, like who want to know like what to wear and how to follow the dress code for my engagement party.
Something I did as an influencer for my engagement party that I feel like is a little bit different is I actually curated shoppable links to dresses that I think are so perfect for our theme and our dress code for our engagement party to make it easier for my guests with what to wear. And then as people buy something from the list, I'm able to take it off so that there's no matching moments.
And now, sure, I mean, I'm sure this is for people that like wanted to buy something new, but the fact that there's like a rigid dress code for, in general, for an engagement party is unique, but your prerogative. But beyond that, like the kind of, I don't know, listen, affiliate links are what they are. I kind of even use Shopmy as like a Pinterest of sorts, but it's also kind of funny because like my Amazon account, for example, is linked like as a creator account. I can't even share links that aren't affiliate links. Like if I press the arrow and share to like my mom or my husband for like whatever product, it's automatically an affiliate link. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I wonder if my friends are like, girl, just send me the direct link. But that's, yeah, whatever. So we've all overlapped our worlds to a degree. Would I make a curated list of shoppable links of a specific dress code that I would make money off of and also inconvenience people to feel like they had to match this dress code? Like maybe not. It's a little bit of like insular delusional influencer world where the way she delivered this information in this video was like almost in such a straightforward, neutral way as if this was normal. That was the funniest part to me. But I also think there's something so interesting about this type of influencer. It still is steadfast in their desire for optics and aesthetics that what they're essentially communicating is how their guests are, you know, loved ones, sure. But also props to a degree, right? I mean, it's an engagement party, but also it was kind of a wedding. I was amazed at the size, the scale, the coverage, the wedding gowns, the lace, and a vendor list that would warrant like a full-on project manager. I know that I guess it's kind of a wedding planner, but like this is just, it's a lot of people and moving parts for, again, an engagement party. And I'm not trying to be not like other girls, but my engagement party, which was thrown by my dear friends, it was a fiancé fiesta. And we ate tacos and margaritas. As you know, with the ALE spirit, I'm very forward about how much I like queso. I like chips and I like salsa. I like Mexican food. And we posed in front of a makeshift photo booth of a striped piñata. It was perfect. And maybe it's something extra I would do if I got engaged when I was older and had money and had a following and vendors that were probably giving me a decount. No one says decount. There was a content creator who took the content. There was a planner, of course. There was a designer. There was a culinary designer. Then there's the venue. Then there's event branding, which that doesn't fall under the planner or the designer for an engagement party. Then there's the photographer, the videographer, and the photo station. I think that I'm struck by the culinary designer, the designer, and the planner. And then that none of those people are involved in whatever the hell it means to be event branding. But maybe that's like invitations and paper goods and I'm being unfair. Honestly, she looks very happy and I do love her 2-piece set at the after party, which adds another vendor, which is the AV, audiovisual design. Separate from all these people is the person who's making the video, who I don't think is the same as the person she labeled the content creator. There was a separate videographer too and a separate person for social. And now listen, she looks gorgeous. She's having fun. Influencers like this kind of amaze me because they could not get more hate, more pushback, be involved in more controversy. And regardless of what you think about who they are, what they just do or don't deserve, and if you want to see them on your feed, I dream of being this level of unbothered because she's always having a great time and looking cute. And it does not fucking matter what people think like me. I'll never forget the overt copying of indie designers are asking for free clothes only to rip off their shit. I mean, like, listen, there's a lot going on here that she's been involved with, but I just think she's one of those people that like has 9 lives. And at this point, like, there's nothing she could do that would surprise me, and it's maybe like a weird level of influence or immunity in its own right that's a little spooky. When somebody just like kind of disappoints people so much it like stops mattering. The expectations are on the floor.
This is Kate from the Beyond. We're going to go to another ad, but I would like to say, so I recorded this right after I heard about Shay Mitchell's sheet mask company for the children. And I said something on Instagram, and I got a bunch of DMs being like, people are overreacting, outrage culture. It's not that serious. And like, I'm up against this thing right now that was really hard for me as a podcaster, if I'm being honest, where the feedback that once was like, LOL, I disagree with you, is now like, I almost had to turn it off. You got this wrong. I had to turn it off. You don't know enough about this. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you move through the world if you have to like almost turn things off? I don't know. It's just, it puts me at risk of over sanitizing all of my reactions, because it's like, I think people want to induce a sense of shame if you don't say the right thing, and it works. So now I feel bad if you think I'm like shaming you if you like these sheet masks for the children. And the one caveat I want to make is that part of the theme here of this episode, kind of like I was talking about with 18 to 20 being different than like in your mid to older 20s, like the collapsing of ages of girls, of women, like developmentally small ranges of our like girlhood and adulthood alike, like really matter in terms of where we are. And on the website, these say they're for actually not 4 to 12, but 3 to 12. And a 3, 4, 5-year-old is simply not the same to me as like a 9 to 12-year-old, like a limited 2 aged girl. And one is on the cusp of like puberty and exploring the adult world and has access to adult spaces and is more socialized and is maturing. One is like an infant. One is like, even if you want to, you can equate it to cute like things with mom, like manicures or whatever, and that's fine. I'm not like judging if you do it, but it's less of like if you participate and more about like companies like tapping into the Gen Alpha involvement in beauty trend and pushing the age younger and younger and younger, where there's like a literal targeting of like toddlers. And like the normalizing and desensitizing to that in the name of it's all in good fun. Because I'm going to normalize and be desensitized to it's all in good fun when you're a little bit older. But I think the further we push that age, it's a bit weird. And the messaging in the name of like, oh, it's for sunburn and blah, 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 and bonding. To make a buck off of some 3 and 4-year-olds doesn't sit right with me. And I'm sorry if you want to turn it off, but I wanted to give you a warning. Okay, love you. We'll go to an ad and then I'll launch into that.
This episode is also brought to you by Helix Sleep. Kelly Kennedy just yesterday. She moved into a new place, had a Helix mattress sent to her for her guest bed, because, quite frankly, at this point, I won't have any less if I'm going to stay in your home. I will send you a Helix mattress. I think that these mattresses, it's almost like I don't know how to explain to people that they're nicer than other mattresses, and it's not your average internet mattress company. It's not just like a hard block of foam. It's not like the, albeit nostalgic, tough, springy mattress digging into your back at home. It is a high-quality mattress made by a company in the business of making mattresses. They're not like the weird millennial middleman company. They actually manufacture mattresses that are both foam and springs, that has a sleep quiz asking you your preferences so it can recommend to you the right thing. And it asks you questions like, do you sleep on your stomach or side or back or whatever? Does your partner have preferences? Do you run hot? Do you need a mattress that's big and tall? Their kids' mattress is double-sided, and it's more firm for when they're younger, and then you flip it when they get a little bit older, and it's soft. And it just makes a ton of sense. As we approach holiday season, whether you're planning on hosting others and want to give them a plush night's rest, or, if you're shopping for everyone else, don't forget to give yourself the gift of a good night's rest. I've heard people say Helix has helped them with night sweats, with back pain, with motion transfer, etc. There's a Happy with Helix guarantee where you can rest easy with seamless returns and exchanges. There's a 120-night sleep trial and limited lifetime warranty. I've had mine for years and years now. Wouldn't change a thing. But if you're in the mood for a change this holiday season, look no further. If you want to go to helixsleep.com/BeThereIn5, they're doing 27% off site-wide, exclusive for listeners of Be There in 5. That's helixsleep.com/BeThereIn5 for 27% off site-wide, exclusive for listeners of Be There in 5. Make sure you enter our show name in the post-purchase survey so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/BeThereIn5. And other influencer news, this is just so interesting to me. Listen, Base doesn't sponsor this podcast anymore. Maybe I didn't perform IDK. I'm a fan of the products, but I gotta say, Shay, did we do demand forecasting on this bad boy? Did we do focus groups? I don't know if this is like a Skims Merkin level gimmick or what, but like, okay, on what planet was this going to be well received? Part of me understands it. If I was to be so generous, I'm like, okay, I get it. Wanting to do what mom does with stuff that's safe for kids. But there's something about like the photo shoots and the branding that's like so unsettling, seeing kids in sheet masks. Like, it's kind of hard to explain unless you see it. So it launched yesterday. It's called Rini. I don't know. It's like, I think a K-beauty inspired skincare line for kids. So they're framing this as solving like a real parenting problem, allegedly. And hey, maybe I'm the one that's out of the loop. They're saying it's like a function of doing things like removing face paint and soothing sunburns and providing safer alternatives to adult products that kids are already trying to use. So she said it's not about beauty, but about self-care and bonding. And there are parents that think it's like a safer alternative because the ones their kids using they don't think are like good for their younger skin. So some people, appreciate that these are formulated for children. It's just kind of like, and do I think the angle of removing face paint, like soothing sunburns is like interesting? Kind of, but also like IDK, washcloth, aloe. I just feel like I don't know if innovation was really like needed to like brand and market to this young of an age, or rather moms of this young of an age. I encourage you, if you don't know how to feel about this, to just gut check the girl in the banner image on the front page, because the fact that she's not a tween, but a little girl putting on a face mask, it's like apparently like Gen Alpha beauty is exploding, which makes me uncomfortable. Gen Alpha and Gen Z are driving like 40% of skincare revenue at major retailers. And they're already like teen influencers, skincare lines at Sephora. Like, I don't know, this is data I was reading on Women's Wear Daily. And it's like a weird combination of like maybe being perfectly calculated to capitalize on a moment, but also like so creepy and tone deaf for the demographic it's targeting. I'm glad to see people pushing back because I fear that this will become the norm. So Rini it sells hydrogel sheet masks for, get this, ages 4 through 12. Guys, this isn't limited to. This is limited -2. This is Gymboree. This is Janie and Jack. This is, oh my gosh, bagosh. You might not even be wiping your own butt, but you have a face mask, skincare sheet mask, targeted to your needs. Also, when do kids wipe their own? I take motherhood very day at a time, and like I really don't look ahead. I honestly don't even tell me. I don't want to know. I know I have to potty train before like preschool vibes. Also, a lot of like good preschools that are like walkable are like parochial, and I'm like, oh man, do you think it hurts me that I've been so outspoken about that pre-K in a clown here in Chicago? I don't know if the Archdiocese would let me anywhere near some of their preschools. We have an interesting lottery system where the public ones near your house aren't always easy to get in. Anyway, that's not till next year, and not important. What is important, however, they're priced at $5.99 to $6.99. They come in cute animal designs like puppies and unicorns and pandas, which, I think is one of the things that Rini, Shay Mitchell is defending, but is one thing that critics are worried about. Like skincare as like a fun toy must have rather than like addressing an actual need type of vibe. But like, there's a lot of girls' toys that are cosplaying older, like traditional gender roles of baby dolls and strollers and caretakers and makeup and beyond that in context when you're older are things you can choose. But in the context of being a young girl and having the scope of those types of toys being what you're limited to, per what we talked about in one millennial chapter, limited to, yeah, it's worth the conversation. It's like, on the one hand, I can have a fairly casual attitude toward kids, young girls, that are enthusiastic consumers, products they're too young for. Given my core hobby from like 4th to 7th grade was literally just going to a CVS. Any way I could make money, I'd write gumballs, I'd be a mother's helper, whatever else to make a buck. So I'd go to CVS and buy products that were, not appropriate for my age at all, or magazines. And I think, we can definitely zoom out and question the system and the influences and like sometimes the participation in these categories when you're too young, like speaks to the messaging we're sending to young girls. Like organic interest to you isn't going to be these like consumer products out of nowhere. These things are heavily marketed to young women and trickle down. And I think there's a natural interest in wanting to participate in like the teenage world when you're but I'm talking about being like a tween, right? I think there's ways that like girls of every generation do it in their own way. That's kind of just like imaginative play in a sense, and can be innocuous within reason. And the skincare Sephora teens is an interesting conversation I did an episode about a while ago called Sephora the Explorer, where a lot of it to me sounded like the next iteration of the same shit that we did too. It's just like with more expensive serums with active ingredients that I think you have to watch a little bit more closely than our desire to be clean and clear and under control. Or if you have that FU Clinique 3-step money, pan frying your face with, the alcohol in step 2, which like literally no toner has alcohol in it anymore, right? It's like so dry. But Clinique 3-step, I'm pretty sure still brazenly has their number 2, which dries you up like a raisin that actively ages you. Yeah, it was kind of like my first concept of consumption as a status symbol in terms of skincare. You know what I mean? Shout out to Clinique. You're the real stars. You want to sponsor this show? I will take all of this back. I'll delete the episode. So yeah, what I encourage you to do if you don't know how to feel, because at first I was like, I don't know. But then I went to the homepage of the Rini website and I saw the girl in the banner image putting a sheet, like it's a girl putting this sheet mask on her face. And she's like, her not being a tween, but like a little girl. It doesn't sit right. It's weird. I hate it. This girl is at an age where on her face, I want to see sweat. I want to see mud. I want to see face paint. I want to see the wreckage of a quickly eaten powdered donut. Like this baby face doesn't need to be starting habits now that even if not intended for it or linked to what we use to anti-age before we've even come of age because we're so afraid of getting older and like what a sheet mask like represents, even though people use it for like moisturizing and stuff. I don't know. It's still too rooted in like anti-aging, mature skincare that I feel like reframe or rebrand like isn't a big enough departure from it to not feel like we're instilling some weird habits in some like literal babies. And maybe I'm overthinking it because yeah, when I was little, I loved to get my nails painted or put cucumbers on my eyes or whatever. But I think some of those things feel more ritualistic to me or something. Anyway, yeah, I guess it's positioned as a solution for taking off face paint or soothing sunburn or whatever, but in a fun way where you can look like mom. It's a step past Stormy. Just like mommy, baby. And yeah, it's giving, you're so mature for your age, babe. Literally. To come full circle. But I don't know. It's got my wheels turning in terms of these rituals performed in front of my kids, either way. I mean, but especially if I have a young girl, it's like, do you just be realistic and exist? Because these are the things we do and they are what they are. And like, I don't want us to feel ashamed for them. But part of me is like, if a kid wants to put on a sheet mask to like look like and bond with mom, do we at a point consider it's time to take our faces out of the Mrs. Doubtfire pie? Like, do we need to Mr. Napkin Head in front of our kids in the name of beauty? It's hard for me to think about how far this influence goes or how seriously to take it, because my memories of my mom are like not at all her spending time in front of a mirror. I love to watch her put on concealer and blush, and she always had a fun collection of like Estee Lauder products I'd get into, but my interest in beauty didn't come from like watching her relentless daily regimen. I actually think my interest in beauty came from the excitement in the air when you'd like watch your parents like get dressed up and your mom do her hair and like go out for an anniversary dinner or like dance class or like to a wedding or something. I was very enamored by the idea that you could uh, get a little dressed up and you could like look different for a night. You could elevate yourself. If you were self-identified Sarah Plain and Tall in your youth, this is something that thrilled you. So yeah, I'm a person that is so much more vain than my mom and my older sister that like does a lot more beauty stuff, buys products. And it's hard for me to like disentangle where that comes from because it wasn't really a big part of my household. Part of it is because I had really bad acne and needed to like find workarounds in terms of makeup. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. So thinking about being a kid from a young age, if my mom is always like in a sheet mask or Mrs. Doubtfire Pie face mask or like a LED red light shield from Tron. I don't even know what that is, but does red light therapy work? I don't get it. I actually just got sent one and I haven't opened it yet. I'm intrigued, but like, I don't know. Sometimes like stuff that's that big and clunky and involves a machine and like looks so insane. I'm like, if this is placebo or a racket, the idea of wasting my time doing it irritates me. But enough people do it that I'm guessing it works. I don't know, you guys. Again, don't turn this off if you're like a red light therapy expert because you're so outraged. I'm musing aloud. And yeah, these sheet masks are spooky to me. And what's interesting is like they should theoretically be cute or seem more like an accessory or toy because they're animals. But like it's just something about it is like creepy because of how little they are. And you're like, no, they're not wearing a puppy mask because they're putting on some sort of a imaginative play. It's more like a depressing rehearsal for what it's like to be a woman today who, yeah, might have a full life, but once a day has to turn herself into Hollow Man for 8 to 12 minutes because to be visible, she must not age. And maybe that's a stretch, but is Hollow Man the right one? Slender Man? No, Hollow Man, yeah. Hollow Man did kind of have a sheet mask face. Anyway, you guys.
I think one of the most frustrating things about being me is wanting to connect with like a higher version of myself that like stands up for women, that rages against the beauty industrial complex. They can put down an opinion and hold to it and embody that. But like, I just texted my sister an Instagram video of somebody who I think got new implants and I need her input on it. You know, I'm just, perhaps part of growing up as a woman is learning that you can't hold these competing truths. We've been conditioned to care about this stuff. And I'm interested when other people get work done. And it's real and harmful that we even feel like we have to. You know what I mean? I'd like to not pass the poison down to the next generation while I'm still working through my own shit. But I also do want to know if TFP got new tees before going on The Bachelorette. Because they look different to me. Does it matter now? Should I be saying this now? Maybe not. But like, okay. I go back and forth between thinking that this is harmful and actually a public service.
Is like professional estheticians, plastic surgeons being like, this is Mandy Moore's face. Let me tell you how she fucked it up. And it's like upper bleph, lower bleph, buccal fat, Botox. And they just like name every imaginable surgery. And meanwhile, everyone's like, oh, she's busted. And I'm like, I actually kind of think she looks great. And I'm like, this is like unprofessional and weird. If it were me, I'd be like, you didn't do the work. Stop capitalizing off of my face. And everybody's doing it. Why are you calling me out? And worse, why are you being so mean about it? But at the same time, when people show up looking fresh as a dollop of daisy, with a face tight like a high pony with a fully down head of hair, you can't help but wonder what was tugged, what was filled, what was injected here and there. Because quite frankly, share the wealth. I'm interested. But I do think people are funny about like wanting people to know about their surgeries. But now people are like smart enough and watch enough of these videos to know that there's like something very distinct about like ear scars and also like a little scar right below your nose. And like, yeah, you can't get around some of the light scarring anymore. But like, I don't really think differently of anybody. I don't care. I can't imagine the tremendous pressure people are under to like look young and hot and have their skin be taut. when there's pictures of you taken everywhere, have you ever, the way that like some of the most beautiful people in the world, like I don't go to red carpet events, but like I can't imagine how weird I would feel about my like face and skin around people that are just otherworldly like that. I'd feel like Bob Cratchit. That's a weird example. I don't know. I would feel weird. A penny for the pores. Like my pores would be so large and I would have so much facial texture that I wouldn't know what to do around all these baby bottomed faces and similarly porous and textured dudes that get away with it because it doesn't matter if they take care of their skin. We just let them exist because we never stood a chance. Actually, I posted a reel earlier of Nora Caroline and me, of her constantly wanting to talk about the Pope. And a lot of you have DM'd me asking me about my skin in that video, which is interesting because that day I wasn't wearing a lot of makeup, but I primed the shit out of my face and like scrubbed it. And I don't even remember why. But I also put like tanning drops in my, like, I don't remember whether it was my primer or the like skin tint. But yeah, I mean, I can tell you exactly what I did. It's just like kind of embarrassingly multi-step and not what I normally would do, but like just to film a casual episode over like Zoom. But it's, so the skin tint is by a company called Versed. That I got in PR and I love it. I don't know if I would have known about this brand or bought it otherwise, but I think it's kind of a newish product they have and I'll put it in my shop. My Be There in 5 shop, my like storefront, all the links I share on Instagram are there because I'm not good at maintaining highlights since this isn't like my main gig. I want to share and, make a buck, but I'm very not good at staying on top of links. But yes, it's like a Versed like tinted moisturizer. And then the other one I use often that I think is just as good that I buy myself usually at like Innovative Med Spa where I get like injections and facials and lasers and stuff is by the like medical grade skincare brand Alastin. Their Hydra tinted sunscreen is like a gorgeous tinted moisturizer, I think, and I wear that all the time. I think what I did that day is mix the Versed with like a Lumi Glotion. Per what I just said, my pores are actually like kind of nuts this past year. And that's okay, guys. We are human people with faces. Everybody has texture on their face. Everybody has pores. It's an insane thing to beat yourself up about. And it's just ultimately not a big deal. I don't bring up skincare often. It's a little uninspired in the influencer realm, I'd say. And like, I actually am not like super happy with my skin recently. And maybe like all the hormones and stuff from being pregnant earlier this year. I don't know. It's just not vibing with me lately. So, and when I'm in those phases, I definitely experiment a lot more with products.
This is what I mean with the contradictions. Like we so shouldn't care about this. But then I'd be lying if I said I didn't care and pay attention to this. And then you guys DM me and ask me what I did. Now I want to tell you. I don't want to be a bad example. Yeah, these are shoppable links. But to come to my party, you don't have to use the shoppable links for skincare. I don't care if my props have pores. I want to be clear. But if this is something you're interested in. Okay, so my current like tried and true routine. Actually one that, okay, never mind. So Osea is one of the advertisers of this episode. And if we're like going to go all the way back to our base for what gives me like squeaky, clean, good vibes when I feel like I've gotten all this shit out of my pores, Osea's Ocean Wave Cleanser. It's called Biphase Cleansing Oil and Makeup Remover. It's so good. And they never have me talk about it in the ad copy though. So I don't even know if, that's like one of my favorite things that they have. And it just gets all of the gunk off my face. Next is the most random product. I don't really ever buy stuff from the brand Philosophy or like know a ton about it. They sent me PR maybe 6 months ago that I honestly didn't even open because I like to save PR stuff for like house guests, friends to donate. If I don't like really, really need it, like to open everything and use it once feels wasteful when somebody else could like get excited about it. And it's something I'm, obviously grateful for as an influencer adjacent person. Like it's definitely a perk, but I try to be mindful of like not just having like a ton of stuff and only telling you about it if I really, really like it. And this is something I randomly tried in like a desperate effort to find something exfoliating that, when you're just like, you have the most congested pores and your nose is like so bumpy and nothing is working. And how am I cleaning my face? But like these pores are still stuffed to the gills. It's like the closest thing
to what I feel like my skin looks like after facial or a peel, like at an actual like derm spa. But it's like not a peel, but it's called that. It's the Philosophy Micro Delivery Resurfacing Vitamin C Peptide Peel. What's a peptide? IDK, you guys. Haley Bieber seems to love them. But yeah, I'll put that in the Shop My. And then the other thing I think that actually works is Dr. Brandt. Hold on. The Dr. Brandt Pores No More Definer Primer. And I feel like that brand is like more in the business of skincare, which is, I don't know, it works a lot better than other alleged pore blurring primers out there on the market. And I just feel like it fills in the little craters on the face in a way that everything goes smooth on top. The current status of my skin renders this product to me so mandatory that if I was out of town and forgot it, I would Instacart it to where I was. So yeah, huge, huge fan. I feel like this is boring content. This is very girl talk adjacent per what I said we would be doing today. Should we make this a series just girl talking? This is just, it's like not really a snorkel because this is a little more all over the place than usual in terms of short snippets of things I just feel like gabbing about. But regardless. Oh, and then I have one more that it's possible I was wearing that day that I wear often that I off correlate with when my skin looks really good and when my makeup's lasted a weirdly long time. In general, I think the black-owned brands at Sephora are crushing it, from like Pat McGrath to Fenty Beauty to this brand that I'm newer to, Danessa Murix. Really great range of skin tones, really interesting products that I don't see other brands have. And one of these is called a Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder. I actually didn't get the one that's a tinted primer and foundation. I got the one it's universal, colorless, translucent. And it's this like balm to powder primer that also kind of like fills in the pores to create like an even canvas. But it has hyaluronic acid and something else in it that really like absorbs sweat without depleting hydration, that like makes your makeup very bulletproof and stay put all day. And the person at Sephora told me I can also put it over makeup for like mattifying and pore coverage reasons. Like throughout the day, it comes with like a little spoon. I don't know. It's just like very good at texture reduction, if that's something that you care about, and a brand that I feel like deserves more hype. I was going to say nobody asked, but actually several of you did. Thank you for the compliment. And yeah, if you look up Be There in Vibe or Kate Kennedy's Shop My, I think like anything I've shared will probably show up there. Okay. I just added it to a collection called Mentioned on the Pod /IG. shopmy.us/shop/be-there-in-5. I also added the acrylic markers. A lot of people have been asking me which acrylic markers I use. And I didn't say it specifically on the hobbies episode because I was still in the process of trying a bunch of different ones out. I have so many sets, too many sets. And most of the cheap ones and like the sets that come with a ton of colors, they really don't last beyond making one banner and like coloring in some letters and characters. But the ones that I think are kind of the Cadillac in terms of their paint quality, flow, opacity, and long-term usability. The brand is Posca. It's owned by the company Uniball, which is one of my favorite pen brands. You guys know how I feel about a fresh pack of pens. And Posca is a bit different because what I like about some of the other markers is that they don't require you to like depress the tip to get the paint out. It just flows. These, upon first use, you have to shake and press the tip to get the paint down to the nib. But after that, you don't. So it's like a little annoying to start, but I think it's worth it to spend the extra few bucks on the name brand because they are so much better and last so much longer. So I'll put those in the shop as well. So yeah, there you go. Oh wait, that wasn't a bad use of time because isn't the Sephora sale right now? Sharing is caring. I'm not a VIB Rouge. It's kind of upsetting. But I'm also proud of myself for not overspending because remember when I told you that I lashed out after the election results last year and spent like over $700 at a Sephora in a singular transaction, which is much higher than my usual basket size. And it's like there's something sad and oppressive about that being the first store I went to following the loss of another female president and what this administration represents, but I can't unpack that right now. Besides, we have things to celebrate. The first female governor of Virginia. That's where I was raised. I mean, Virginia flipping blue is just pretty exciting stuff. And while those on my Facebook feed from the days of yore may not be thrilled, there's one thing that would ever increase my chances of moving back there. It's this, to be honest.
is like in my child rearing years, like where my state stands just like really fucking matters to me. And it's always kind of made me sad that the people I love most are in places where I just would not feel safe as a pregnant woman, especially as a person that's had an ectopic, like emergency situation, and where those things aren't always clear. And, we don't need to get into that right now. And it's not about me. It's about all of us and what I think is best for moving forward for our country. And I was really excited about the first female governor in my home state, Abigail Spanberger. She hails from Short Pump, like me, which is a very small area with the world's fanciest Arby's, mind you. I think she went to high school at Tucker, if you're from the area, and is a UVA grad as well. But anyway, I just was very stoked. And what was I going to talk about? Okay, first let's pivot to thank our advertisers, because this feels like a fitting moment to go into this episode being brought to you by Osea, which is a complete coincidence that I just brought up cleansing face oil that is so, so good. But again, not part of my ad copy, just throwing that out there because I literally use it every day, twice a day. And I just don't feel like regular cleanser like strips all the products off, but doesn't strip the moisture, which is the best part. But again, I'm not here to talk about that. And Osea is kind of resurrecting something I've really loved in life about gal pals and gift giving. I love a set of body products. There was something like back in the day. I mean, as early as elementary school. I mean, I wasn't wearing sheet masks, but something about body lotion, shower gel really revved my engine, started my bath jets, if you will. And Osea's Ocean Body Glow Set is the perfect gift that I'd be so excited to get and quite frankly might buy myself. But it's a surefire hit for everyone on your list, even the hardest to please. I feel like this is a brand that people know is high-end and luxury, but haven't always tried. And it's just such a great thing to give people as a holiday gift, as a birthday gift, or people that you're just like thinking of going through a time. It includes 3 of Osea's best-selling body care products at an incredible value. Each item is full-sized and packaged in a box that is so beautiful you can skip the wrapping paper, which I do and I love. It's gifting made easy. You'll probably want to grab one for yourself too. It has a full-size Andari algae body oil, which is viral on TikTok and in my heart. It's an antioxidant-rich hydration oil that like softens, it nourishes, it firms, it makes you look like you're, I don't know, sun-kissed red carpet glowing, and keeps your skin moisturized in a way that I didn't know possible until I started using body oils. And as I've told you, it's kind of amazingly not greasy, which was always one of my concerns with body oils in the first place. There's also an Undaria algae body wash, which I've used for a long time now, that cleanses and removes impurities, leaving skin soft and revitalized, and a full-size Undaria algae body butter. This delivers up to 72 hours of hydration. Body oil I use year-round, and especially great for like skin exposure in warmer weather months. But I double up with this body butter in the cold, dry winter, and I just feel soft and ready to go and lush. This is a great go-to gift for everyone on your list. I really can't speak more highly of these products. I love them. They've advertised with us for years. They're actually that good. And this is just a great set to give somebody that you're not quite sure what to give them, but want it to be nice, want it to maybe be something they haven't tried before. I think these like full-sized luxurious products in a gift wrap friendly package is just so ideal. And you'll probably want to grab one for yourself too, but hurry before this luxurious limited edition set sells out. Save $40 on the set at oceamalibu.com and get an additional 10% off with code BeThereIn5. Give the gift of glow this holiday with our listener discount on Osea's clean, clinically tested skincare. Just use code BeThereIn5 for 10% off your first order site-wide at oceamalibu.com. That's 10% off your first order with code BeThereIn5 at oseamalibu.com. This episode is brought to you by Ritual. And what I like about Ritual is what I like about usual episodes of my show that this one is not exhibiting, which is that they're obsessively researched. That Ritual is the obsessively researched multivitamin. This is an unregulated category, you guys. It makes me nervous. There's a lot of players. I get pitched on every supplement under the sun all day, every day, to advertise on this show. And I'm not interested in the gimmicks. I'm interested in companies like Ritual that are conducting tests at university-led clinics. So they have a university-led clinical trial for their essential for women 18 plus multivitamin to assess its efficacy. And the results were that it increased vitamin D levels by 43% and omega-3 DHA levels by 41% in just 12 weeks, which is huge. At this time of year, like, it's not the most balanced, at least not for me, with my,
diet and nutrients, and at least I have this essential multivitamin to fill in the gaps that I'm not always getting from food or from treats, and fortunately in a clean, absorbable form without shady additives or ingredients that can do more harm to your body than good. They're essential for women 18 plus, contains 9 key nutrients, and 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day, designed to be gentle on the stomach, and a minty essence, which I love because I don't feel sick when I take it in the morning. And if you've been wanting to get into a consistent routine, ritual, taking a daily multi that's easy on the stomach, strangely has a great aftertaste, has a transparent supply chain, and is proven to be effective. Luckily, Ritual's Black Friday sale is here. Instead of striving for perfect health, aim for supporting foundational health. My listeners get early access to their Black Friday sale for 40% off your first month at ritual.com/BeThereIn5. That's ritual.com/BeThereIn5 for 40% off your first month. Don't miss out on their best sale of the season.
Oh my God, have you heard Rosalía, her song Berghain? Holy shit, you guys. It is, okay, listen, I'm not pitting women against each other. I'm not making comparisons here. But I am saying we've had a long discussion on here and on Patreon about Taylor Swift's life of a showgirl. Am I still listening to it 1 month later? I actively love and listen to Father Figure. That is like the song I put on. I really love it. I like to dance with Teddy to Opal Light. And the Fate of Ophelia music video makes me happy when she's with all her Eras Tours dancers. And they seem to be having so much fun. And the choreo is so good. And that's just, I think, one of the best music videos she's ever directed and one of the best lead singles she's had in like over a decade. So yeah, I still maintain that Opal Light, Fate of Ophelia, Father Figure are huge songs, and I listen to the acoustic of Elizabeth Taylor sometimes. But in general, I don't really put on the album. I mostly honestly just target Father Figure. I love it. It's so good. It makes me feel like I can chest puff and be brave enough to say things. Like, I don't think her and Kelly Taylor are still friends. I'm just kidding. But anyways, okay. I just think that in these trying times, I don't know, like, it's hard for somebody of Taylor's size and with her steep of a catalog to I really take meaningful risks. We're all so critical. We're all monsters. And she did with Tortured Poets, and looked what happened. And we got punished with something much more abridged. But I actually, that's maybe the best way to frame it. I still actively listen to Tortured Poets and put it on before I put on Showgirl. That's kind of where I'm at. Not that it's objectively bad. That's just like where I stand today. But there's been really interesting music coming out from Lily Allen's West End Girl that is like so uncomfortably, transparently, surgically detailed in its storytelling about David Harbour from Stranger Things and him essentially being a pig who resented her for getting a lead in a play in London while he lived in New York in a townhouse or brownstone they could barely afford. That if you look at their architectural digest store, the vibes are weird and the decor is tough. But he basically, while she was over there, said he wanted talked her into or guilted her into having an open marriage she never wanted, and said it wasn't about sex. But then she found a Dwayne Reed bag of, I'm actually not going to tell you, 'cause if you haven't listened, just it's a really enjoyable listening experience, tip to tail, where you're just so immersed in the story. I haven't had a singular sit down album listen outside of from a content perspective too. I'd talk about Taylor Swift on here, but since Lemonade, I don't think I've really sat down and taken inventory and really absorbed a story in that way. And it was an interesting album. And listen, ever since so many weird things have come out about Lily Allen, a person who I literally know nothing about. So I'm not making a commentary here on all of her choices, but this album in isolation, to just listen and appreciate it, I think is an interesting experience for a different type of artistry being communicated in the album format that I've not experienced for a while. And I think that was an album that was put together fairly quickly in a moment that was quite raw. And I'm actually impressed by how catchy a lot of the songs are, even though they seem more like devices to just get very specific details across. And I thought that's something I really enjoyed the past couple of weeks. But I might loop back to that in a minute. I was just going to say, Rosalía, who's a Catalan artist, she's from Spain. Her lead single from her album, Lux, is called Berghain, which is the name of a Berlin nightclub. It's a song that features the London Symphony Orchestra, where she's singing operatically in German, switching seamlessly between German, Spanish, and English throughout the song. And I didn't realize she was like a classically trained artist. I didn't realize she could sing opera, but she took like a huge creative risk with this album, and I can't wait to listen to it because the way it's been described is it's the album Lux is tracing a widescreen emotional arc of feminine mystique, transformation, and transcendence, moving between intimacy and operatic scale, according to Rolling Stone. The song Berghain is named after Berlin's notoriously exclusive techno club reimagined as a symbol of isolation, rebirth, and power. Critics are calling it unsettling, disorienting, and magnetic, the kind of risk that defines her best work. The fact that, so there's 18 tracks divided into 4 movements, like as in classical music, each with apparently its own structure, its own character, its own tempo. Apparently she sings in 13 different languages. What? And they're not random words. They're entire verses and complex melodies and apparently perfect pronunciations that she spent a year dedicated exclusively to the articulation of these lyrics. And I don't know, the way people are talking about this album has me so interested in terms of it. What was the phrasing used? It being so ambitious, it's almost absurd. And I'm interested in artists doing that. And I Berghain is such an odd song that I'm is this going to be on pop radio? Odd meaning a departure from, artists releasing singles and compared to her previous work. But I listen to it all the time because I like classical music sometimes, or when I'm working, but I don't think to put it on that much anymore. But it's kind of bridging, I don't know, these two worlds I didn't even know I wanted.
Yeah, does it come out tomorrow? Well, if this comes out Friday, it would be today. Anyways, I'm looking forward to at some point this weekend. Something I want to do to relax is put on noise canceling headphones and listen to it in full, kind of like West End Girl, because I really like experiences like this where people are doing something cohesive, telling a story or assembling something so layered and ornate, it can't help but demand your attention, and to do it justice by a full listen through in an activity that isn't a scroll on your phone or watching a video. I don't know. I think it's satisfying. It's almost like a leisurely form of resistance to the attention economy and to what artists have to do these days to get noticed. So yeah, if you want something to do this weekend, I haven't heard it yet, but I've loved the single and I'm hearing good things, but I think it comes out today. And yeah, this review says, an important tip, listen to this album with good sound equipment, good headphones, because it deserves you to hear every little detail, every distortion, every percussion, every violin. This is not an album to listen to on shuffle while washing the dishes. It is an immersive experience that rewards your full attention. And when that happens, the experience is transcendental. This is how Rosalía manages to bring young people closer to themes of faith without sounding preachy. She sings about divine themes, but at the same time, she adds touches of modernity. Lux is an album. Lux is an introspective album tracing an emotional arc that moves between intimacy and operatic scale to create a radiant world in which sound, language, and culture merge into a single expression. That's fucking cool. Anyways, just wanted to share what I'm pop culturally interested in this week. 2 very different expressions of, but bodies of work that are meant to be listened through and immersive in different ways. And I brought up Showgirl earlier. Well, A, because it's been a month, and B, not to imply that to be valid, to be of quality, you need to be doing something like this complicated or highbrow. I mean, listen, I'm the first person who doesn't want us to fall into the trap of, classical music is real art, pop music is not real art. That's elitist gatekeeping bullshit. And to pretend that I even understand how to listen to classical music with a true critic's ear or an appreciator's ear, I just am does this sound cool? I like opera. I saw Phantom twice. It's not that Rosalía's, this is somehow more valid because she's singing opera. It's that she's taking a risk using like a massive platform to do something unexpected and challenging. And it's you can't see it in my face, but I'm about to play my ace. Like, she's been sitting on this classical training, or maybe like the super fans of hers knew about it. But I'm like, dang, this is such a flex. You could have led with that. You could have made it your whole brand. But she built her career on a very different type of music. There was already experimental. What was that review I was just reading explaining it? They explained it as like flamenco pop fusion. Like several albums deep, to just like pull out the London Symphony Orchestra. It's strategic reinvention that inspires me, where you don't show all your cards right out the gate to generate a sense of your own legitimacy, to collect fans by flexing your range. Rather, I think I am impressed by people that exhibit that restraint and really strategize in an interesting way that has a long game. And opera isn't inherently superior. It's just so not 2025, yet it's being very well received. And fans are harsh, and artists are incentivized to give fans exactly what they expect. And I think because you're only as good as your last hit, babe, brand consistency can be valued over creative evolution sometimes. And I think people like Taylor Swift can be the most powerful people in the world, but the way she's very driven by the worst criticisms of her last work, and that drives how she frames the next one going forward. And that's only human. That's something she admitted in her Billboard speech that I just think is the most clear through line of her entire career. Is like, you said I can't do this, or you said I did this, so let me do this. And I mean, when you really think about it, even Tortured Poets itself was a response to Midnight's being poppy and people missing Folklore and Evermore. But then that was like, maybe too layered and deep and poetic and convoluted for people. And obviously it was too long. So then we went short, we went poppy, we went surface level, and there's value there. But like, it is kind of a series of overcorrections where people are going to complain no matter what. So I think with Taylor Swift, what I'm craving is like, what feels honest to you? You're at a level of like commercial success and celebrity that maybe it's hard to tap into that. It is not a bad thing to make a pretty straightforward, easily digestible pop album that, might frustrate me a little bit because it has lyrics like legitly, and I just still don't understand that creative decision. Like that can, it's almost like making something like Showgirl. I think it's unfair and reductive to like treat it as a mistake, when I do think that there can be intention to having that sort of era in your career where you're doing something very much palatable to the masses and for commercial consumption and like whatever. But I think I'm inspired by someone using their platform who is tremendously popular and successful, but not the biggest artist in the world, like using their platform to, and valuing their own work to say, no, you're going to sit with this. This is a 3-minute operatic piece in German that you can't scroll past. Like that to me is the type of subversive, I think, in this fire hose of an information world that I'm just like really interested in terms of artistry. And I think I love the idea of taking stuff that is more traditionally like highbrow or less intuitive for your average person to be listening to, and like democratizing it for a mainstream category, but without dumbing it down. You know what I mean? Like it's not just for people that understand opera. She's bringing the London Symphony Orchestra to us. She's naming it after a nightclub. I think it's very, very cool, and it's very creative. And when you are at a crossroads of your next project and you're asking yourself, I can do one of two things. I can give the people what they want, or I can give people something that might make them uncomfortable, that makes them work for it, that's pushing like a higher purpose I have that's important to me at this stage of my career. And I think to do the latter is brave and it's interesting. And, it's not like she's just saving this skill to use when she's called to Carnegie Hall. Put it on a pop album that teenagers will stream on Spotify, that, they'll hear through the ear holes of their sheet masks. And I also like work that is the antidote to our reflexes. I think Showgirl was an interesting moment in terms of
public album digestion, and it being as fast as possible, to give our takes as fast as possible, to contribute to a content farm rather than to enjoy something. Like, I think it can be very hard to overhaul how our brains have changed and how our consumer patterns like have evolved. And it's interesting for an artist to create a body of work that holds you to a certain standard to be able to participate in its world. And again, I haven't heard it, but what I've been reading about it, and even the song Berghain, it doesn't sound like an album where you can power rank songs and paternity test lyrics, if you can even translate them. And I think that the flip side of that is like I said, a surgical level of detail about one's personal life that does warrant those lyric forensics, whose purpose is kind of to storytell and to do that, which is Lily Allen, another album that's like been a breakout for her, the first she's had in years, it sounds like. But again, I don't know a ton about her body of work. I think that Lily's album was maybe a bit of a breath of fresh, because like an artist who I love, like a Taylor Swift, again, I'm not trying to compare. Since I talk about Taylor Swift so much, I'm trying to like frame my interest in what other artists are doing, because I think Taylor Swift, not even entirely by her own doing, solicits some of the like worst habits we have as consumers that she doesn't necessarily deserve in how we receive something. And I think that where the gamification of her artistry has gone in terms of how we consume it, it makes a release feel designed for Easter egg hunting and variant collecting and, immediate hot takes. But since I think an artist like Lily has not historically been like gamified to that degree, there's something that feels more gratifying about lyrical dissection. But I actually could go even off on a tangent about even how West End Girl, I think, is like the most interesting kind of predictable example of the purity test industrial complex with how we consume art. That type of songwriting and how I think it's so valuable. But I also think the line between honesty and exposure is really interesting for what the algorithm like does respond to, for like the level of detail that women often like will be praised for providing. Sure, the name of like hyperbolic like receipts, people love mess, people love scoop, but also I think that there's a tendency to feel like a level of detail is necessary to be credible. You know what I mean? I was reading an article about how like the marketplace, like the world, like we have a fetish for details and mess and public breakdowns, but being believable isn't easy. And there's a fine line between honesty and exposure and the level of details a female songwriter may feel she has to provide to be credible. Otherwise, people pick apart their artistry and their story. And I thought this idea of believability in confessional songwriting was an interesting one that I suppose I don't have time to unpack. But I think that how Lily Allen's West End Girl like rollout transpired on TikTok, again, to provide discourse about the discourse, not my favorite thing. It was like near unanimous praise of this album. And I was hearing so much about it and I couldn't wait to sit down and listen to it. And then all of a sudden, at least algorithmically, what I saw were the tides start to turn within a day and a half's time. And the conversation then became about digging up her past and her Twitter feuds and the offensive things she said and done. And then it became like, I was asking myself, like, can I say that I listened to West End Girl? Because does that become a statement on my morality? Or can I just speak to this album in isolation about an artist I honestly don't really know anything about or regularly listen to, but I'm hearing sound bites of her, least flattering and sometimes outright problematic moments throughout the past 20 years. And wow, I gather she's bigger in the UK too and is maybe more of a tabloid staple. But to a person like me who does not know anything about her, who hadn't even like heard of most of these controversies, it was an interesting experience to be on the receiving end of the sound bites of her worst moments and to watch the conversation shift from consuming the body of work itself in isolation to a referendum on whether Lily Allen deserves our sympathy as a person. I don't know. I think that like we should focus on the subject matter at hand to a degree, and all of the things surrounding somebody's past and their behavior can inform whether you
support them or how you contextualize this body of work. But it is like a broader tendency people have to responding to public things involving women where there's a very quick desire to tarnish their credibility or to say, well, this thing that's currently happening, your pain, your experience is in some way invalid or you're undeserving of our sympathy because of this thing from 3 years ago. Your past imperfection or your behavior not being pure and pristine forfeits your right to present pain. Like you're not allowed to be hurt if you've ever hurt somebody type thing. You know what I mean? And again, I feel like this is risky territory because I don't really even know what the extent of her background is. My point was, as a fly on the wall watching this happen from the outside, it's an interesting part of a pattern, I think, with how we treat women's work. And it's hard for me to even disentangle what aspects of that is a valid quest for genuine accountability and to inform people of persons, many facets, and how I understand that tendency if somebody feels a certain way about somebody that is valid and they see them kind of getting runaway praise. But I also don't know that this album was asking us to believe that she is the entirely correct and innocent party. Part of what I enjoyed about listening to West End Girl was sitting with the discomfort of not really knowing the full story. Like trust me, I feel a certain way about David Harbour. But I think that like the way even this information is being shared has a level of ambiguity in terms of like who the good guy is and what this is for. And it's transparent and it's candid and it's interesting and the level of detail does leave the listener with a level of discomfort because it's unusual. And that's kind of the point. It is messy. It is a decision to air it in this way. And anyways, what I'm saying is I don't think West End Girl was meant to be absorbed with a level of like moral purity, like she's the right one and she's on the high horse. Listening to or enjoying or talking about this album in isolation becomes a referendum on the consumer's own morality. It's like a very odd, confusing way to participate in culture that I'm always questioning, not because I think that people shouldn't be held accountable for problematic behavior, but because I think that there's a bigger tendency to do this to women that's worth interrogating. And no, our criticism is unequivocally not always misogynistic, and I hate going to that default. But I think that wanting to make it clear that a person is imperfect doesn't mean to dismiss their pain and say, well, you can't be a victim and you can't be hurting because you hurt someone 3 years ago or you did this thing. That's not to say you endorse it or approve it, but like I think that the interesting thing is kind of exploring their work, not despite that, but like with that qualifier, and how the way people make things is so contingent upon their individual point of view and the amalgam of their past. I don't think they're asking us to see them as perfect people delivering the one and only true side of the story to state their piece, to deliver the receipts. And in many ways she was with the Dwayne Reed receipt. I think that like part of the artistry here is like the way it forces you to sit with the discomfort of how a person even making this album and speaking in a surgical level of detail about a person's very private life by default already makes her in the running to be somewhat of a villain in the story. You know what I mean? I don't think she's on a high horse here. I think she's still part of the mess. And I think that's what makes it interesting. So to see people kind of qualify if she's worthy of our sympathy as a person because she's fucked up before, or to completely dismiss the artistry that was being praised for all of the things she's done in the past for why it doesn't deserve our attention. I feel like it's kind of missing the point. And this album isn't a desire to squelch any of her past transgressions, but it's an extension of human complexity, and her choice to express herself in this way is morally ambiguous. And people usually don't put in their songwriting about private individuals for like a reason, with there being kids involved in different sides of the story and, artistic license being taken on it for how you like flatten and combine certain characters. And you know what I mean? I don't know, you guys, I'm rambling, but this is the work being put out that interests me, not because I think Lily Allen's is an upstanding individual, but because if we're going to, provide discourse about the discourse, I'm really interested in watching how these consumption patterns go down.
and thought that was kind of worth chatting about. And you know what's also funny about the Lily Allen of it all? I was looking up like critic reviews and I saw this one article that was like, celebs weigh in on Lily Allen's West End girl. And one of them was Caroline Calloway. And it's an Instagram story that I guess Lily reposted that says, so the caption Caroline Calloway wrote, "So you know how the lore with me literally never fucking stops, even when I try to retire from the plot? I'm absolutely geeking over the fact that Lily Allen wrote this masterpiece of an album while reading Scammer. Like, I literally sent the copy straight to her West End stage door. It's called Herstory, bitch. And to think that I, too, was involved in this mix. The dead of summer, 2023. Lily Allen's heart is broken. Her rage is brewing. She's starring in a play. She's writing, some of the most defining work of her career, inspired apparently by Caroline Calloway's weird memoir that was supposed to be a multi-part series that were going to come out that year, but I still don't think have come out yet. That I read and did a podcast episode about during the final weeks of my pregnancy, I guess, against my best judgment, in a weird conversation with a lot of appropriately pregnant pauses that I shall never forget, only to be followed with the notoriety in my head of the stressful nature of the Leave from America interview. And legend has it that my blood pressure went up on that day with Calloway and never went down, and that is why I got induced early. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, what else do you say besides, it's called Herstory, bitch? And that's my music wrap up. I have a lot of thoughts, but just wanted to give you a personal note why I am inspired by Rosalía, why I think what Lily Allen did was really entertaining, but I think that I am frustrated with a lot of my tendencies anymore in my attention span and how I consume things and how I forget things. And to me, it's an interesting flipping of the script for an artist to be taking that on themselves. It's like, I'd like to be better at consuming art, but I don't always know how anymore. But I think Rosalía creating something that structurally refuses to be consumed that way, that's incompatible with the content mill, yet somehow is still breaking through it for being different. It's really interesting. And yeah, I don't know, not to make it about me, but as a person that creates things for a living, it's helpful for me to feel inspired by what other creatives are doing, especially those in positions of power where there are such stakes and where there's a level of popularity where you don't necessarily have to think and people will buy or listen to what you put out. It takes a lot to challenge yourself and reinvent yourself in a way that isn't just a function of demand. It doesn't just create against the most capitalist metrics of why we make things. And I think that over the years, even though it's kind of a joke, Too Long Needs co-host, people frustrated with the length of this show and it being part of perhaps what holds it back for growth. I don't know. I do it not because I can't edit or I want to be indulgent or waste your time, but because I really don't believe that everything that keeps us entertained and keeps us company has to worship at the altar of efficiency to be valid and to be consumable. And I like the idea of kind of being a challenge, not in a bad way, but like asking for your undivided attention in a world that exploits it. Wasting your time is the last thing I want to do. And your attention is such a scarce resource. And I don't want to treat it like a resource for me to mine, but like challenge the person on the receiving end to value their focus in certain subjects as things that do deserve their time and should be allowed to breathe and don't always lend itself to best being explored through the hot take economy. And yeah, this episode is like a really bad example because the whiplash between, sheet masks for infants, Hilary Duff, Danielle Bernstein, and I don't know, my own skincare routine and beyond. What are we even talking about? But there's a lot behind the scenes that consumes me as a person who's pretty deep in this career, who doesn't feel very clear on its path and who's plagued by relevance and reinvention. And if it's enough to grow slowly alongside me, or if I have to participate in the best practices of what works today to be able to support myself. And I don't always know, but this is why we come to this place for magic, to laugh, to cry, to care. Nicole Kidman was Sabrina Carpenter's arrest at her concert in Nashville this week. Charming. It's hard to not launch into the AMC theaters
monologue when I feel I'm taking myself too seriously and giving meta commentary about my own career. But I love hearing artists speak about their artistry, and I'm not an artist, and podcasts are not typically seen as a medium where you want to hear about somebody's craft, but it kind of is. Thanks for keeping me company this evening. I have to return to working on a few things, so it'll probably be a late night. This was fun. I promise we'll do Dancing with the Stars at some point. I just am trying to figure out if it's a main feed or a Patreon, because I have the information and I love talking about it. But I'm like, do we wait till we get closer to the finale? Do we do it now? I don't know. I can't hear you talking back to me, but we'll see. I just felt like doing more generalized roundup, girl talk, pop culture, catch up, influencer gossip session today. So, don't forget to support our sponsors, rate and review 5 stars. Please, for the love of God, if you've got a daughter and you know what's good, run, don't walk, to get her a baby sheet mask immediately so she knows she'll never stand a chance. Find your local 3-year-old, your 4-year-old learning to ride a bike. Kick those hydraulics right out from under them. We're moving on to hyaluronic acid. We got to keep it tight. Ugh, it's dark. I'm looking at this website. Consciously crafted in Korea. It's almost like they did this on purpose. I'm disturbed. All right, you guys. Again, if you could rate and review 5 stars or share with a friend, well, maybe not this episode. I don't know. Maybe, like one of the good ones. Like, share with a friend. That'd be like really helpful for me if you like this show. Patreon.com/BeThereIn5 for bonus episodes. If you want to see the video of Nora's macro needled face, Caroline's faux veneers from the last episode, Taylor Swift deep dives and stuff are up there too. There's like over 200 bonus episodes. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And as always, let me know your thoughts and I'll let you know mine. I'll be there in 5, I swear.